Sangye Chudang, Sogye Chonam Lai, Changjo Pardoya Dane Kyausuich, Dagi Chushe Gebe Sunam Chen, Dolai Pinjara Sangye Dobare Shoy, Sangye Chudang, Sogye Chonam Lai, Changjo Pardoya Dane Kyausuich, Dagi Chushe Gebe Sunam Chen, Dolai Pinjara Sangye Dobare Shoy, Sangye Chodang Zoje Chonam Lai Changcho Pardoya Dane Kya Dage Chushe Gebe Senam Chen Dola Benjara Sangye Do Pare Sho Semchen Tamje Dewa Dang Dewe Gyo Dang Dembra Dunga Dang Dunga Ge Jodang Tawa Chuje Dunga Mebe Dewa Tamba Dang Mindal Vare Nyereng Chagdang Nyedang Tawe Tang Nyom Chenpo La Nebra Chure Che Semchen Tamche Dewa Dewe Gyo Dang Dembra Churje Dunga Dang Dungal Ge Jodang Taware Dunga Mebe Dewa Tamba Dang Mindal Vare Churje Nyereng Chagdang Nyedang Tang Nyom Chenpo La Nebra Chure Che Semchen Tamche Dewa Dang Dewe Gyo Dang Dembra Churje Dunga Dang Dunga Ge Jodang Taware Churje Dunga La Mebe Dewa Tamba Dang Mindal Vare Nyereng Chagdang Nyedang Tawe Tang Nyom Chenpo La Nebra Chure Che Paldin Tsawe Lama Rinpo Che Dagi Kiwo Pede Densho Ne Kadin Chenpo Go Ne Jesong Kosong Tokje Ngodo Zato Soe Paldin Dorje Janwari Kin Chabda Lama Karmapa Chengo Kunje Juni Siji Panjur Yidam Dorje Nanjurma Tinle Kunje Chobo Chujon Perje Chamda La Nanjur Kupa Zijin Dundon Me Tokje Kyongwara Nze Kankere Tsenye Gyalwe Loto Pinso De Sabe Tangne Perla Chunda Yurin Longche Ne La Mimpa Tawon Dejurwa Tikerdage Tongmar Nyingje Te Bareje Tangbo Nga She Dala Shinjur Shin Dagen Di She Ngula Chakje Chakjurwa Su Chun Che Dan Rangwang Me Pa Ye Ndola Nyingje Churkan Te La Ende Kangla Semje Tamba Rinchen Te Chepa Teye Kula Chaksa Kangla Nöpa Che Chang Tendelwe Dewen Jungne Te La Kyabsu Chi Okay, good morning everyone. Yes, so from the 7 points of mind training, we have completed the first 3 points. Those are the preliminary practice, and second, the actual practice of the relative and ultimate bodhicitta, and third, using these 2 kinds of bodhicitta to transform all the adversities onto the path or into the path. These are the 3 first points in the 7 points of mind training. And now today we start with the 4th one. Yes. Let me check. Yes, so the 4th point is says that, pointing out the entire practice of a lifetime in a nutshell, meaning in summary actually. So in summary, as we understand, he will present 5, let's say, kinds of practices. These 5 different types of practices includes the whole practice of a lifetime. So yes, and now we will find out what are those 5. So let me read the root text. So 4th point, implant mind training in this life. The instructions condensed into their essence. These are not root verses, okay? Now these coming up are the root verses. Train in the 5 powers. The great vehicle teachings on death are the 5 powers themselves. Your conduct is critical. All right. So what it is saying is that there are these 5 different things, that as a Dharma practitioner, we need to, engage in. And if we engage in these 5 kinds of Dharma practice, that will be the heart of the Dharma practice. Meaning these 5 practices will include all of these, teachings and practices that we find in the Mahayana. And then also it's saying that this is about, the Pova. Pova in the sense like is preparation for death. I shouldn't say Pova because people get a little bit, it's not about this Pova that we're talking about. It actually is about how can I prepare myself, especially at the time of the death. There are 2. So he's saying that these 5 are the one that will prepare you for death. But also while I'm dying, this is the, from the bardo point of view, it will be the bardo of dying, from these different types of bardo. Then at the time of the bardo of dying, it's also called the bardo before death, actually. That is very crucial time because this is the moment when, right before I actually die. So in that very crucial moment, few minutes right before one's death, then these 5 power, which we are going to, learn about, these are the ones that we need to practice. When we come to that point, I will explain a little bit more. And so in short, these 5 powers are the, practices that we need to practice, and this includes all of the Mahayana and the Vajrayana. Here he says Mahayana, so I'll stick to that. Vajrayana practices, right? So now the question is, what are those 5? All right, so those 5. Okay. The first power is power of intention. In Tibetan, we call Pempitop, power of intention. Especially here, this is directly connected with the practice of the bodhicitta, because this mind training is all about bodhicitta, both the ultimate and relative bodhicitta. So here, this intention is, intention regarding the bodhicitta. What that meant is quite easy. It actually means that, that I, from this time onwards, until I reach enlightenment, usually we say that from here, until I die, and through Bardo and through next lifetimes, and until I reach enlightenment, I will never forget bodhicitta. I will always, engage in the bodhicitta. This is a wish and also a desire, so to speak. So that intention in one is actually generating the intention, probably, so we can call that. The reason power is actually quite interesting, because it does have that. When you have this intention, then, it inspires you, aspires you or inspires you to walk on that path. So therefore, the power is from that point of view, the power of the intention. Also, in general, it is with the intention to practice Buddha Dharma, right? Here I said, bodhicitta, but in general, it is really also the Buddha Dharma. Most of the time, I would like to believe that, these good practitioners, genuine practitioners, they, in their wish, in their dedication, they always say that may I never, stop practicing Buddha Dharma in this life, during Bardo, and, life after life after life. May I never stop practicing the Buddha Dharma. So that, and may I also never lose this intention, motivation, to practice the Buddha Dharma. So this kind of intention is called the power of intention. Because like I said before, since we belong to the Mahayana, so it is kind of taken that it is the base of our Dharma practice is bodhicitta. It's taken, okay? Because that is what Mahayana means. We only become Mahayana, or Bodhisattva path, simply because that path is the path, which is supported by the bodhicitta. So it's kind of taken that, so to speak. So that is the power of the motivation or intention. All right. The second power is the power of familiarization. In Tibetan, we call Khenpo. Khenpo actually means, familiarizing. It means making it your habit. Like anything, in this case, also the Dharma practice, everything needs to become our habit. As we practice more and more, when they become a habit in you, then this Dharma, they tend to stay longer, actually, so to speak. Gets easier, I should say, right? As we understand, gets easier. So here again, this is about focusing on familiarizing. So when we say familiarizing with the Dharma, it basically also is in the sense of diligence, right? So what do I need? In short, it means I need to become very close to Dharma, actually, right? Dharma needs to be very close to my heart, very, very close to my mind. Actually, it needs to be one with my mind. So to make it very close to my mind, it very much depends on my diligence. how enthusiastic I am, My that enthusiasm in me toward Dharma will decide my diligence. So therefore, if I develop this enthusiasm, a very genuine enthusiasm toward Dharma, and from there diligence will be born. When the diligence is born, laziness in us will go away. The only way to make this laziness go away is to develop that intention, that enthusiasm. Toa. Toa is a Tibetan word actually. Enthusiasm is a good word for that. So here, then, because it takes time, for Dharma to take place in our heart, in our mind, it's not like it will take, that Dharma will immediately take place in our mind. It's not that easy. So therefore, we also need this diligence from the sixth paramita, the perfection of diligence. And at the same time, diligence and patience go hand in hand, as you can see that. Resilience, we can say patience, like I said yesterday. But this is a very good patience, actually. Here, this patience is born from this. One ground for this patience is also devotion, right? I think. Right? If I look into myself, I don't know so much about wisdom, but I know that, that my devotion, my trust in Dharma is helping me a lot, actually. So therefore, I do not want to lose this trust. And the way to keep this trust, maintain this trust is really always trying to connect oneself in whichever way one can with the Dharma. This is what we are doing now. We go to different types of retreats, we go to different types of courses. And there they remind us the value of the Dharma. They remind us what is our practice all about, and we need that. We need that to encourage ourselves. We need a lot of encouragement, actually, of course, because we live in this world, and it's very easy to lose our enthusiasm, our motivation. We can very easily be dragged away from the Dharma. So yes, there are these many different, let's say, conditions and causes which will help us to remain with the Dharma. And of course, the ground of that is, I think, is the devotion in us. And of course, from that devotion, enthusiasm is born. From enthusiasm, then activities are born. They are all connected, right? So there are many things that we need to practice in order to, develop this habit, the habit of the power of familiarization. So now we understand that, the ground are many. The ground for that to happen is devotion, enthusiasm, yes. And then from there, then our activity toward Buddha, our practice, I should say, our practice will only grow and grow and grow. And this is how we become, Dharma will become very close to my heart, so to speak. Or in other words, Dharma will remain longer in our hearts, in our minds. And that is really what we need, actually, in this case. So that is the second power, the power of familiarization. All right, the third power, which is the power of a white seed. White seed, white is an example here, a metaphor, mainly white meaning Buddha Dharma, Che we call it, Buddha Dharma, so seed is the seed accumulation of merit. In short, it refers to the accumulation of merit. When it comes to the accumulation of merit, there are different kinds. Merit or virtues that are cause for higher rebirth. Higher rebirth meaning, good, fortunate rebirth, good rebirth in the realms of the gods and humans, actually. Those are called the fortunate in comparison to the lower realm. Okay, in comparison, then yes, we find ourselves very fortunate. So for that, we are from the karma point of view, karma, the cause and effect. In Tibetan, we say le first, which is karma, then ju de, cause and effect. It's both actually. Anyways, so when we understand that, when we have a good understanding of how karma works, then we will know, that all of the good things in our lives are due to the virtuous karma, and all of the bad things that happens in our lives are due to the negative karma. Simply, we all know this. So this is the, let's say, merit for higher rebirth. Okay, but now then the merit for liberation and merit for enlightenment is different actually, because motivation-wise, some people practice dharma only to gain, good rebirth, good life in samsara. This is their motivation. This is their intention. So then that dharma that you practice becomes, the cause for higher rebirth only. And then there are those who are not interested in samsaric well-being at all. They are not interested in samsara. They are only interested in nirvana and enlightenment. So that merit, we call merit for liberation and merit for enlightenment. Merit for liberation, let's say liberation or nirvana, the root ground for that is renunciation. If we think about the arhats, all these arhats, the ground of their, liberation was really renunciation, meaning they understood the fault of samsara. They understood the, shortcomings of samsara, which means they understood, samsara is all about suffering, pain, and pain only. And they do not want, to be in this samsara at all. And they understood that this whole of this universe, sentient being, and our experience, are caused by karma, klesha, and ego clinging. They got this realization that, we must do something about the truth of the origination. Truth of the suffering is the fault of samsara. Again, reminding you, okay, that is the truth of samsara. And that is actually, the source of that is called truth of origination, which is karma, klesha meaning negative emotions, ego clinging, and of course, the ignorance. These arhats, they therefore looked for a means that can help them to directly cut the root of all of this, suffering. And that is ego clinging. So this is why, we could say that they did not focus so much on the well-being of others from this point of view. They were really thinking their own well-being, in terms of liberation, right? So that is actually, the root of that is very much the renunciation. Then for the enlightenment, the root of the enlightenment, ground for that is bodhicitta. right? Bodhicitta, the relative bodhicitta. It's better to say relative bodhicitta, okay? Because ultimate bodhicitta is realization of emptiness, which is shared by all the noble beings, arhats, bodhisattvas, Buddhas. So, therefore, bodhicitta, the relative bodhicitta. Because the mind of bodhicitta has two goals. Let's see. Bodhicitta is a mind, state of mind, and it has these two goals. The first goal is enlightenment, and the second goal, the goal for enlightenment is to help sentient beings. Therefore, their priority is, their priority are sentient beings actually. But in order to bring sentient beings or to help them, let's say, they also need that kind of wisdom, knowledge, realization. Without that realization, without that knowledge, they couldn't help. So that is why, they focus to gain the omniscient wisdom of the Buddha, because that is what was going to become the source of benefiting the sentient beings. So they actually didn't do this for themselves. But when they did that, of course, they themselves, achieved the state of the enlightenment. So, yes, so therefore, when it says here, the seed, here the white seed, in general, white seed are the Dharma practice, and here the accumulation of merit. So now you understand, there can be this different form of merit based on your mind. What mind is that? Or what intention, I would say, right? Intention is a better word, actually. If my intention of practicing the Dharma is worldly gain, I will have that, worldly gain. But if my intention is liberation, to make it short, then I will gain liberation. And if my intention is Buddhahood, same thing, same practice. There are no different practice, same practice, then it will become cause for enlightenment. For instance, like let's take the example of Guru Yoga. When practicing Guru Yoga, if my intention is worldly gain in this life and in the coming lives, accordingly, this practice will become seed for that. And if I'm practicing Guru Yoga with the intention of liberation, accordingly, my practice will take the form of the seed for liberation. And if I am aiming for enlightenment while doing this Guru Yoga, accordingly, the same seed will take the form of cause for enlightenment. So therefore, you see that there is not like three different things you have to do. It's the same thing, but how our intention, can change the form of the seed. Again, let's say that I may have, developed the intention of, gaining worldly gain in the beginning, but somewhere, along the path, then my motivation changed. Then now my motivation, my intention is not about worldly gain, but rather liberation. Then it will become the cause for liberation. Every practice you have done so far will, in that very moment, will become for liberation. Now again, sometime later down the lane, if your mind changed, and if you thought of, oh no, actually I don't want liberation only for myself, I rather want to reach enlightenment to benefit sentient beings. That seed, that which you have now, which was, first it was a seed for higher rebirth, right? Good. Then it became seed for liberation. Now this same seed will become, seed for enlightenment actually. So it can very much change. in the very beginning, when someone who is not so very, exposed to Buddha Dharma, and when they don't have much knowledge about it, this could be very much the case. They very much can think that this is just for the worldly gain. But then they come to know, slowly and gradually they know, no, this can be much bigger than that. So that bigger for them was liberation. Then sometime, later they know, oh, this can be much bigger than that. And that actually is the enlightenment. So the seed, when our mind, intention change, everything that you have, accumulated accordingly takes that form. This is why I'm thinking taking of refuge and bodhisattva vow is actually very, very good. Especially the generating of refuge vow and bodhicitta is very important. Now you can see why. Because every time when I, do the practice of the bodhicitta, then all these seeds that we have accumulated, they will be refreshed. They will also they become much stronger. And at the same time, then the power of that merit really will grow every second, every moment. And then meaning like as a ordinary common individual, these practices that we do of the refuge, bodhicitta, all that, they can be stained by our thoughts, our obscurations, our confusions. It can be stained. And whenever we take refuge or generate bodhicitta, then it has the power to remove that, to delete, to clean, those stains. So then it means this practice will not allow our bodhicitta to become weak. Otherwise, it can become weak because it will be hidden under obscurations. The more and more we get engaged in all negative thoughts and actions, and then our bodhicitta, all these other things will be hidden underneath, right? Underneath and underneath. So now you can see how important really it is to, to remember to take refuge and bodhicitta. For me, it's actually same. Taking of refuge in the Buddha and the Dharma and the Sangha is same as generating refuge. We do it together, but at the same time. All right. That was the power of the white seed, correct? Yes, the fourth power. The fourth power is power of giving up. Giving up or abandoning, the power of abandonment, we could say, or casting away. These are same actually. So yes, now first, because we are, this is directly connected with the practice of the bodhicitta. So here, what is it that we need to destroy? What is it that we need to abandon, need to get rid of? It actually means getting rid of. What is it that we need to get rid of? And the answer is very simple. Probably now you guys already figured it out. Yes, it is the ego clinging, actually. It is really the ego clinging, the self-cherishing. That is why, because we have heard this many times now, because this 100% is the root of all of these, sufferings that we go through samsara, for us and for others. So therefore, there's only one thing that we need to do from the Dharma practice point of view, and that is to destroy, this ego, this self-clinging, this self-cherishing attitude in ourselves. And bodhicitta has that power, especially the ultimate bodhicitta, because ultimate bodhicitta is the wisdom of emptiness. So, for instance, like all of the noble beings, Arya beings, like arhats, bodhisattvas, Buddhas, it is same in them that they all have absolutely overcome the self-clinging. And therefore it is same that they all do not go through karma or kleshas, and this is why they are not affected by samsara, the fault of samsara as we say it. Why? Because the ground to experience negative emotion is no longer there. What is the ground? The ground is this false notion of ego, false notion of self. Like we generally say that we falsely take 5 aggregate as self, right? Self. So the word falsely is very good actually. Due to ignorance, we are deceived by ignorance, making us believe that there is a self. And the ground for that self is, of course, our body and mind. From the aggregate of the form and the aggregate of the mind. In the aggregate of the mind, there are 3, 4 of them, correct? So I'm not going to go into detail, but yes. So now the question is, how can I really get rid of this, this ego clinging, false ego clinging? Yes. Then the answer is through analytical meditation, through the practice of the vipassana meditation. One can very much, overcome this ego clinging. Okay. So this is the power of overcoming or power of abandoning that. So few of them actually. First, renunciation. Like again I said before, remember that these arhats, what gave them the power, to overcome this ego clinging is renunciation. How did they experience renunciation is that they got a very deep understanding of the truth of the suffering, and they got a very profound understanding of where this truth of suffering is coming from. So that, really is the power in renunciation, their mind, nginjung, Tibetan word. I don't have other English word for that. I tried to really, I looked for many other words, but I didn't find any. So anyways, I'm going to stick to that. Yes, so the Vipassana. Vipassana is the direct antidote for overcoming of these, ego clinging. From the bodhicitta point of view, then relative bodhicitta is very helpful because meaning suffering, when we understand suffering, it does not only generate, this mind of, renouncing the suffering for oneself and for others. What are we renouncing? Or what is it that I exactly, want to overcome. This is what it meant by renunciation. I really want to be free from this suffering, and I also want others to be free from this suffering. This is what it meant by renunciate mind. Or this is an intention, actually, as you can see in us. An intention, to free oneself and others from this suffering and the cause of suffering. That mind is called renunciation. Now you can see, like I've been saying a few times before, that with renunciation, then also the bodhicitta, comes about. Because when we see suffering in others, it is very natural that you experience compassion, kindness. The more suffering you see, the more compassion you feel. I would like to believe in this way. And the more suffering you see, the more compassion you experience. More in the sense like your compassion also becomes bigger and bigger and bigger, because of the suffering. So actually it is thanks to suffering that I guess there are many examples. All of us, we can probably have many experience that, that how sometimes for actually years, year after year after year, you help people. You don't give up. Why you think you're able to do that? It's because of our compassion, our kindness, If we don't have that, I don't think we will, be able to continue like this. The reason we are able to continue to help others, no matter the situation, no matter the time, we are able to, like probably our entire life we are able to do that. That is the force of compassion, I would like to think, actually, kindness. Otherwise, what is the explanation for that? So, and bodhicitta, as we understand, is much bigger than that. So this is why here, like when it says the power of abandoning, power of, renouncing, this is, seeing the suffering. You want to help yourself and others to really overcome that, And that thought, is then bodhicitta, right? So yeah, it's connected with that. This is the fourth one. Now the fifth one is dedication or good wishes. Mölam, actually. There is a difference between mölam and ngowa. Here it says mölam, where mölam is good wishes, right? Actually now I'm thinking, is it same, In English, dedicate, I guess it's same. Making wishes is dedicating. It's okay. At least in Tibetan, we sort of would like to believe there is a difference between the mölam and the ngowa. Ngowa is usually in English, from what I understood, we say dedicate. Mölam, from what I understood, we say making good wishes. I guess it's called prayer, actually. It's not pray. Pray is a good word, actually. We pray for them. I guess when we pray, then we always make good wishes. Because pray is a word that comes from religious background, and some people don't like to hear it, I guess. But actually it doesn't really matter. It does mean pray, But here the difference, we are not praying to a God, actually. Probably that's the difference here, This wishes that we are making, prayers that we are saying, is born from our own heart. And that heart is called the good heart, correct? The good heart as in bodhicitta, let's put it this way. So there's nothing wrong with that, Regardless of result, it's always, very good to make these very good wishes, so to speak. But here is the power of, it says the power of the prayers or good wishes. I think when these wishes, good wishes, are supported by this very noble mind, then it becomes very powerful. This is what I would like to think, correct? I guess there can be two kinds of, wish. Good wish and bad wish. No, it is true, actually, good wish and bad wish. You can also bad wish. Most of the time, probably we are doing a lot of bad wishes. Uh, and those bad wishes, negative, I should say, wishes are supported by negative thoughts. Could be anger, could be jealousy, could be proud, attachment, Then we say all these negative things and we wish negative things. And here it's reversed, so to speak. Here, really, the foundation for these good wishes in the Mahayana is always bodhicitta, correct? It's always compassion, out of kindness, great compassion, great kindness, great love. It's all same here. These are three things actually. But we have to add the word called great, because the power of that is is immense. So, and great compassion, great kindness, great love, all that. So when, therefore, the power of good wishes. Ngowa, now dedication in Tibetan. Then when we dedicate, then there is something that we can share actually, okay? But in dedication, that is not the case, actually. Here, what I'm exactly dedicating or sharing with others is, my accumulation of merit, correct? What I'm sharing is my accumulation of merit, my realization, all that. So literally there is this, let's say, a phenomena, phenomena that you want to give, that you want to share, a phenomena. And that phenomena is our merit, our realization, all that. So that's called Ngowa actually. Anyhow, they are very much connected. So the power of, the fifth one was the power of dedication. Yeah, here it's actually included where, kind of same. Now I don't remember exactly who, but there a very great, master says that one should never forget to dedicate, one's practice. Few important things in the practice. Our practice, we must begin with taking of the refuge and bodhicitta, the, initial stage, right, where we take refuge, cultivate bodhicitta. This is must. And then the actual practice. And the most important thing in this case is the dedication. We must dedicate that, this merit to all sentient beings. Why? Because when we dedicate this merit, then this merit becomes inexhaustible, It becomes inexhaustible because sentient beings are inexhaustible, or we can say infinite. Since the ground for my dedication that are sentient being, and since sentient beings are limitless, therefore the merit is, becomes limitless as well. So therefore, it says it's very important to dedicate this merit and dedicate this merit to all living beings, to all sentient beings. All right, and now, yes, so and now, so this is just, in general, this, 5 powers is in general, but now coming to the instruction, it's a very good advice actually, advice how can I prepare, myself for dying actually, that question that many people ask us. So let me think actually from this 5 power. This 5 power does not have to be in this order, I'm thinking. There are 5 powers, but does not have to be in this very order actually. So it's not exactly like when you are on a deathbed. Okay, this time I don't think it is exactly like this. I would like to believe. As a Dharma practitioner, or then you prepare, to depart from this world, and you prepare long enough, actually, so to speak. So the very first thing that is advised is I don't remember which number here, renounce, it says, right? Here, it is, many of you may know that, we don't want to have so much attachment to anything that you possess in terms of wealth, first of all. So therefore, you prepare yourself by, let's say, giving away those wealth. So there are many ways you can, give away those wealth. Generally speaking, then we give those wealth to actually accumulate merit. We can give this, to a foundation, that supports the Buddha Dharma, for example, or you can give this to, a foundation that, that supports people in need, we could say. We have many organizations, charity organizations, you can give this to those. Doesn't have to be a monastery all the time. But when you give this to those, the reason we are trying to do that is because there is no attachment also, because you don't know those guys. So you're really giving it away, just without any attachment. There are these many stories what happens if we have, attachment to the wealth. So this is what the renunciation part is actually, that we need to prepare ourselves mentally and, physically both. The first one is about this renunciate, how we do that. So this now becomes a little bit easier. Okay, so now then the second power then would be the power of actually white seed. This is the power of white seed. When I, let's say, give away my belongings, my wealth, of course I'm accumulating merit, right? But at the same time, power of white seed is that also one, personally can also do different types of practice, for instance, but it is not that everyone can do that, I guess, right? But generally I know that some, some practitioners, they actually really, complete many, sets of yidam practices and things like that, so to speak. So this is one thing. But the power of white seed. Then the power of the power of the familiarization. The power of familiarization is also here in this case, it's like what I said in the very beginning, that they, in their mind, they prepare that when I die, I die with bodhicitta. Also, this preparation is in the sense like, when I die, I want to, die with realization, actually. So that realization is the realization of the unborn nature of the mind. From the Bardo point of view, we are not going to go into the Bardo, but there is something called the Bardo of, Dharmakaya, or Bardo of luminosity. So that actually is what it meant here in this case when we say familiarization. From what I understood is that during the lifetime, I practice by learning, reflecting, meditating, and we engage in different types of meditation, for example, like Kerim and Zogrim, all these things. So these experiences that we have during the lifetime, that we acquired by doing those meditation, they become seed. Actually, they become seed. And the seed is called the son. Son, as in son and daughter, we call the son. And so when I actually die, or actually it's not dead, like in the time of the bardo of dying, in that very moment, then, where my mind, the unborn nature of the mind, when it appears nakedly, directly to oneself. I guess I have to say a little bit more. What it meant is, but I don't want to go too much into detail of this Bardo thing, okay? From what I understood, so when we die, there are processes. And this is called the dissolution. Most of them are quite easy. The exhaustions of these four elements, one after the other, which is very easy. But then it becomes very subtle. At the end, the last, exhaustion is the exhaustion of the breath. Of course, that is very much understandable, because when you stop breathing, then you're dead. But actually, it doesn't stop there. Then it's the dissolution, exhaustion of the mind, we call it. Then the exhaustion of the mind has 3 steps, which I'm not going to go into detail. Mainly when that happens, then what is actually happening is that when the mind, space and mind, when that fades away, along with the mind, then 3 poison fades away. 3 poison, like attachment, anger, ignorance. There is a number, we don't go into that. So, and there is this window of opportunity where then our Buddha nature mind is left on its own without any of that, mind, correct? So I really, find that very profound. And when that, moment happens, and because of your own practice during the lifetime, like we try to understand what is Buddha nature mind, what true nature of the mind. So it clicks. This is called meeting of the son and the mother. Mother is that true nature of the mind, that which, appears nakedly, at that point of the time of the dissolution of the last three stages, okay, in stages, and then once. So this is because of the familiarization, because I have familiarized myself with this meditation of the of the Kerim and the Dzogrim, especially the Dzogrim part, Kerim and Dzogrim both, let's say, put it, I'm just going to say the Tibetan word. Okay. In the Lojong, it doesn't say all these things, but I thought it was, good to share it. It actually is this way. So here we don't need Poa actually. Poa is for that. But if you can do this on your own, why you need someone to say all these things, Pi-pu kind of things. It actually says in the book. Pi-pu meaning, I just said Pi-pu, there's other things, Hick. Actually not Pi-pu, hick, Remember people say like the hick. I'm accumulating bad karma. But I'm not saying it's not necessary. It is, of course, necessary, because everybody can't do that. But here, if I, on my own, when I die, if I manage to find the path, then of course there is no need for other things, given that I'm capable of doing that. And it's actually very much possible because, what all this practice that we are doing in this life, meditation, is for that, is to recognize the nature of the mind. The Mahamudra that we always say is that mind, that is the Mahamudra, right? In this point of time, the Dharmakaya, the bardo of the luminosity or bardo of Dharmakaya. So this is what it meant. And then the bardo, then the dedication, the power of the dedication, the power of intention and dedication. Power of intention and dedication. Here the power of intention, I think I already mentioned, I don't know if I remember, but it means, this again I really want myself to do, because it's saying that when I am dying, then I'm only and only thinking about, continuing with bodhicitta. Like I said, at the beginning of our talk, that that I, from this very moment onwards, in my all lifetimes. So when I say in all lifetimes, while I'm alive, while I'm dying, while I'm in bardo, and when I'm born again. We always say that in Tibetan actually. And until I reach Buddhahood, may I never be without bodhicitta. This is the intention actually here. So that is the intention part. So we die with bodhicitta, so to speak, and through the bardo we try to, even in bardo we want to be with bodhicitta. So anyway, intention. And the dedication is very simple, and again it is about the dedication or the good wishes, here also we wish to attain Buddhahood. This is the priority. Priority is really the well-being of sentient beings. When we say Buddha, what does that mean? That means I want to become Buddha not for myself, but I want to become Buddha for the sake of all living beings. So the benefiting sentient being is the priority. Right, priority. So this is same here. So this is what it meant here, like in all my lifetime, may I become the source of benefit for all sentient beings. Right? This is same as saying may I have bodhicitta. But this probably is better word, May I become the source of benefit for all living beings in all my lifetimes. That is also a dedication you can make. You can see that. No, this is the best of the dedication you can dedicate or make wishes. But at the same time, the other dedication I think, or wish I think, is to make wishes for others, like myself. May all other sentient beings also be endowed with bodhicitta. May they also be endowed with renunciation. We must say renunciation actually, really. Because without the renunciation, bodhicitta cannot come about. So I would like to think in this way, that may all sentient beings, including myself, always experience renunciation, and bodhicitta for benefiting other sentient beings. So this wish, I think, is the most profound wish, while dying, while living, while in bardo, so to speak, if you manage that. So yes, as you can see, but one thing that I find most, that is most crucial is really, having no attachment to the wealth, to the body actually. This is very, very important, at the time of the death. There are these many stories. I don't actually know if I'm remembering it correctly, but there is one story, okay, and the story goes like this. A very rich man, and who was very, very stingy, really, really stingy, to the extent that he looked very poor. Everybody thought he was a very poor guy, but he was really, really very, very rich. So he died. When he died, then the story is that there was this one individual who had clairvoyance. So he knew that. So, and after some days, I'm thinking, then they went to his home, or probably it was a hut, hut. So there was a box. Probably it was after a week or 3 weeks or month, I don't remember. And when they opened that, trunk or the box, it was filled with wealth, gold and many, many, valuable things. And there was a snake protecting it. Actually, I think it's found in this sutra by Buddha. There is a sutra called Wise and Foolish, Do Zhang Lun. In Tibetan we call Do, which means sutra, Zhang Lun, it means wise and foolish. It's about actually karma. There are hundreds of stories like this Buddha tells. So I think it's from there. So anyway, there's a snake protecting. So the story says that it's the same person who died because he was so attached to the wealth, and he came back as that snake and was protecting that. There's that one story which I remember. There's another story of another person who was very attached to his or her own body. Really, really. And the same thing actually. When they died, then again, there are many stories, but one story that I want to share, you may find very interesting, was, Gampopa's wife actually. She was not born as a snake though. When Gampopa lost his son and daughter, to this virus or to this sickness, he was a physician himself. He couldn't protect them, so he felt very disappointed in himself. Like, I'm a physician, I couldn't, even save my own, child or children actually. And then his wife also was on the verge of dying. She was actually dying, like literally dying. Gampopa could sense that she was holding on to something, clinging on to something. Then Gampopa asked her, saying that I see that, you are not letting go of something. So please tell me what it is, then, I will take care of that. Then she says that, oh, I'm not, attached to the wealth. I'm actually attached to you. And Karmapa says, oh, in that case, I promise you that I will never marry again. I will become a monk and I will, share my wealth with different people. He says, I promise you that I will not marry again. When he says and promises this to her, in that very moment she is able to let go, actually. So it's very powerful, this attachment. And if we died with that, probably then in the bardo it can really create a lot of confusion and many other things. Or not just attachment, anger or anything. So we don't want to die, with that kind of state of the mind at the time of the death. So yes, therefore this is why I said this. From the five power, the power in this case, the power of renouncing or power of abandoning. Now this one is more, in this case, meaning at the time of the death, then it is related to the wealth, actually, material wealth, that you want to, practice, well, you want to dedicate or you want to give away those material wealth, and so that you have no attachment at all to anything, so to speak. Sometimes a very tiny thing, it doesn't have to be a very huge thing. Sometimes to something that is so very tiny, still one can cling on to that. So it's very important to make sure, so to speak, if one could, that there is no such thing. Of course, usually it's the, let's say their children, their family, and wealth, and all these things. But also it can be something very unknown, very little, yet you somehow cling to that. Anyway, that's the lesson here is that when we die, we try not to have any kind of attachment to anything at all, so to speak. That is, I think, the most important lesson actually here from this, all of them. And the other is not that others not important, but in those, I think, is something that happens most of the time, the attachment, it's very hard to let go. So yes, and then yes, here it talks about, when we die, then how should we, conduct physically ourselves. I think it's very difficult to do as it says here, because if you die in a hospital, you don't know, when and where and how you're going to die. But this here is, the conduct is quite easy actually. It's like the way how we see Buddha died, Generally speaking, then one tried to sit in meditation posture, but if not, then one, try to at least, try to, let's say, this actually is for this, like here in some book I read that, that if possible, then Tonglen practice is done actually. I don't think that one can do at that point of time, because this time that we are talking about, like few seconds before one die, then maybe it's a little bit difficult actually, so to speak. But nonetheless, here it says that. So we try to really sit in meditation posture if possible. If not, then we try to sleep down like the way how Buddha slept. And we try, it's about breath. He says you try to breathe very normally, And when you breathe in and out, then you try to remember the Tonglen practice, is what it says in the book. I've seen this. I'm not saying the Tonglen practice, but I've seen lamas helping dying people, and I have witnessed that many times. Most of the time, we just really try to remind them of their practice, of their guru, of their yidam. They whisper in their ear, saying, "Now is the time, for you to really think about your yidam, your lama." So, we try to help them to sort of remember the Guru Yoga practice or the Yidam practice. And sometimes they nod. I mean, they kind of say, "Yes, I understand." And many a times you see they're crying, tear comes out. And it's a sign that they understood. They do that, actually. I've seen 1 or 2 times, I think. But it's not that so these are the things that one can do at the time of the bardo, so to speak. So, okay. Right. Oops. I'm reading this so that I didn't miss out anything. Oh, okay. So that's a yes. I think I didn't miss anything out. So that from the 7 points of mind training, which number is that? 4? Okay, 4. Number 4. And what time is it? Is it 10:30 or 9:30? No, I guess it's 10:30. Okay. Okay, so I think we can stop here for now, and I'll take questions.
Thank you very much, Khenpo. My question is about when we accompany very close people during the process of dying, for example, our parents. And what would you suggest? I know the Powa practice, but they are not Buddhist. Is it nevertheless meaningful? Because I thought the entrance ticket for Devachen is the Bodhisattva vow, and they didn't take it. So what would you recommend there?
All right. From what I know, one can, do Powa to actually for anyone, even for a dog. The Powa, okay, depends on the individual who is doing the Powa, actually. Not so much on the individual who is receiving it, meaning there are different types of Powa, I guess, So here, so yes, you can very much do, it's good idea to do Powa regardless of who they are. And I would like to believe that they will receive some kind of help. And one thing I want to say is that when you do Powa, it's not that everybody is born in Devachen, actually. I guess you know that too. So this, we really don't want to think that when you do powa, it's like, ticket to Devachan. That is so very wrong. It's just really something to help in the bardo, that's, so that you don't get confused. And one of the reason is especially to protect one, if possible, to be born in the three lower realms and to guide them to, let's say, realm of the humans and realm, the higher realm. So yes, but in this case, Powa is really, I know that, Powa can be done to any sentient beings, so to speak, and how much benefit they receive or not receive, that is something hard to tell, but on your part, when you do it, that's actually very good. I think we should do that.
Khenpo, thank you for your teachings. You told about bodhicitta today, and could you please explain what is the difference between ordinary like compassion and kindness, which is we feel as ordinary human beings, from bodhicitta?
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So first, from the four immeasurables. In the four measurable, actually, we have that. We have the definition of both the loving kindness and compassion. May all beings find happiness and the cause of happiness. That is loving kindness. Cause of happiness. May all beings be, find cause of happiness, and may all beings find happiness and cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. That is actually great compassion. Meaning, the loving kindness, they are same in essence. Loving kindness is focused on the suffering of the sentient beings. No, actually, it's opposite. I'm saying, I want them to be happy, and I want them to be with the cause of happiness. That is what we call as loving kindness, in Tibetan called champa. And the mind, that thing, that, the wish for sentient beings to, to be free from suffering, and also the cause of suffering is the great compassion, so to speak. All right, so, but your question, it becomes ordinary, so to speak, or common when we experience compassion and kindness, with attachment. For example, our compassion, kindness, most of the time we sort of experience them to dear ones, loved ones, close ones. Probably we don't feel so much of this loving kindness and compassion to a stranger. So because of the limitation, we call it ordinary. But by nature, they are not ordinary. By nature, kindness is kindness, and compassion is compassion. But we call them ordinary because my compassion is, is limited only to a handful of people, so to speak. This is why, so my own attachment, my own mindset limits the potential of compassion, so to speak. So this is why we call it ordinary. But when this same kindness and compassion, when they reach to more and more and more and more people, then they grow, correct? So then they also no longer become ordinary. They, so it depends on that. The definition of ordinary is from that point of view. But the reason behind that is really, in some ways, is really attachment, so to say. Yeah, so that is the, otherwise compassion in us, compassion in bodhisattva, from compassion point of view, it's same being compassion. But their compassion is a compassion, that includes all living beings. Whereas my compassion doesn't do that. So this is the difference.
Thank you for the teachings.
Mm-hmm.
As the time goes on with receiving the teachings, it becomes more and more clear, which I think is good. But I have a question to that. How much, maybe not how much trust should we have in our own understanding, or how much distrust is necessary for our own answers to our own questions? Like I often, whenever I think about something,
Doubt.
I have a...
You're saying doubt.
No. Like I have very clear answers in my mind very quickly. And then the question is, should I be very concerned that, for example, this does not come from my inner Lama, it comes from some sort of a, I don't know, spiritual pride or something like this.
Okay. Okay, that's a very good question. So we, this is, inner voice you're talking about. There is always this inner voice regarding, our own understanding of the Dharma, my own feeling of the Dharma, sometimes it feels right, sometimes it doesn't feel right. So you're actually, but I think both are very good. When you don't feel it right, you're questioning it. It's good to question that, because only then we can really, we can experience the clarity out of that. So in this case, it's a doubt or it's a question, which is very good. It's more like, it's a little bit like analyzing, my own realization, my own understanding of that. So the more and more we, let's say, do this kind of observation regarding our own experience, regarding our own understanding and the view actually, or your own view regarding the Dharma, it's very good to do that observation or reflection on that, self-reflection, right? Because the self-reflection always helps to, to experience more awareness. And awareness is very, very important. Awareness brings about the clarity in our realization, in our understanding of the Dharma. So therefore, it's not an obstacle from what I understand, It may appear like an obstacle, but actually, it is a help, because it's helping me to do more reflection, do more meditation on my practice. If this is the case, then it is very good, But if it's something that is driving you away and probably then it is, not what I am actually explaining to you. So yes, it's very good and very important to, have this clarity. What is it that's working for me in my practice, and what is it is not working for me? If it's not working for you, that then, it doesn't mean it will not work for you, for you always. It means it's not working for you now, but this will work for you in the coming time, in the coming days. So it's a good understanding, and we need to always, follow that, follow our heart, and really do whatever is working for you. This is good, and focus on that. And the more we develop, those meditation, those practice, They will help us to break through all these things that we have not been able to achieve. We have not been able to cut through. Let's say doubt or questions that we have, we'll cut through that. That's what we call as accumulation of wisdom, right? The power of the accumulation of wisdom through learning, reflecting, meditating will cut through this thing that you said. Those are the ones that will cut through it. So it's important to do that.
Khenpo, I want to figure out relationship between absolute and relative bodhicitta.
Oh, that's the question?
Yeah, I only start because I wait for translation. And as I understand from lecture, absolute bodhicitta is experience of the mind is dharmakaya. And the relative bodhicitta is desire of happiness for all living beings. And if I understand that my mind is emptiness and mind of other beings are emptiness too, it means I am not separate from other beings, and from this arises boundless love.
You're giving us teaching? Or you're asking something?
Yeah, it's my question. It's my I understand.
Okay.
Or not.
Okay. What do you think? You think you understand it right, or you think maybe not so right?
No, I think I am right.
Okay. Then I think you're right. It's a very good question, and it's a very big question, okay? It is true that, ultimate bodhicitta is wisdom. Wisdom of the, like I said before, wisdoms of the noble beings like Arhat, Bodhisattvas, and Buddhas, and that wisdom is the wisdom that understands the absolute nature of phenomena as it is. So it is a wisdom, so to speak. And meaning, there is no confusion at all regarding the nature of the phenomena at all. This is the wisdom. And as for relative bodhicitta, the relative bodhicitta is, really the wish to, wish to help all sentient beings to achieve that wisdom, that omniscient wisdom that will help them to overcome confusion and then overcome the suffering from the root, correct? So these two are connected actually, so to say. So that is what it meant. Yeah.
Thank you for your teaching. And my questions about the dissolving phase in the meditation.
Okay.
As I'm understanding, when we do the meditation, we are focusing our mind on the object of meditation, and when do dissolving phase, we just let our minds go and dissolve with the object, and it need to be fresh. And when some disturbance appears, we trying to see this disturbance like emptiness. When we cannot do it, we just go to the another steps. And when we are doing it home, I understand like how I can do it. But when we are doing here, dissolving phase is too long for me, and I can do maybe 1 minute, and dissolving phase is just going and going, and I don't know what I need to do in this moment. Maybe I can do mantra or what I need to do.
Okay. I didn't understand the last part. You say here, dissolving phase too long.
Yes.
What do you mean by that?
Yeah, when we meditate together,
Kinetic.
Chinrezi or Guru Yoga,
Okay.
you are.
Okay. From what I understand in Chinesic, the dissolving phase is this much, only 2 lines, less than 2 lines actually. So, but the rest of them is all Kerim. First, Dzogrim. Here is, it's first because the visualization part of the Yidam, let's say Chinesic, when you visualize Chinesic, we basically give birth to Chinesic, correct? That when you give birth to Chinesic, that is called Kirim, or it can be Tara or anything. And in the end, then we actually dissolve that. When we dissolve that, it's actually it's the same, process, but reversed, so to speak. It's usually, like you said, it's usually very, very easy because in the very end, we really, let's say, we try to stay in this non-dual state of the mind. We call non-dual state of the mind, meaning in the Chinesic practice, there is this line where it says that, we says that how, the whole visualization comes back to this, to this unborn awareness nature of the mind. And then we just try to hold that view of the unborn nature of the mind. We just simply sit in this meditation of, non-dual meditation of emptiness, we can call it. So it's not very long actually in Chinesic. Like when you say mantra, after the mantra there is a line actually. The first 2 lines is for the Dzogrim part, so to speak. So it's short, and it's actually same with all of the Yidam practice or Guru Yoga practice, but it is true that, because the Kerim part are different, or some Kerims are longer, some Kerims are shorter. And due to that, when we do the dissolution, it could appear that way because we are dissolving whatever you visualized. And here you disvisualize them. This is the meaning of that. It's like life and death, exactly same way. Kerim is, is compared to birth. And Dzogrim is compared to the death. When we are born and when we die, there is a process, how we are, conceived, and how day after week after how our body and everything is built, 9 months, all these things. So there is this, just give you an example of that. In the Kerim part, it's same, right? In the Kerim part, first there is the emptiness, of course. Without the emptiness, nothing can appear. And on the ground of emptiness, then from the illusory point of view, then the whole process of the Kerim, the birth of the Yidam of the Guru happens. However you may want to do it, with the lotus, sun, moon, and then of the seed, whatever seed it is. Out of the seed, then, the Yidam is born, in short, so to speak. The whole form is born. And then when we dissolve that, actually we dissolve it in the same manner. First we dissolve it from the top until the seed, and then we dissolve it from the bottom up onto the seed. In the very end, the seed syllable, which is Shri. Again, I'm giving you a very general idea. In the very end, what is left? Shri, because Shri is the seed for Chinesic in this case, right? And then that also dissolves into emptiness. It's very beautifully explained. It is also this syllable dissolves from bottom up. I like it actually. It's like in the sand. If you have sand, it dissolves slowly and gradually, all the way up, and then just like this. Likewise, then you come to this. Can you come back to where? To where you started. And where did you start? You started from the shunyata, and now you are back in the shunyata. Everything happened in the shunyata. Everything dissolved into shunyata. In reality, there was nothing that really happened, actually, so to speak. Anyway, so this is the very general, basic idea of Kerim and Dzogrim, but I'm sure that many of you know what it meant because you have been practicing Guru Yogas and all these Yidam. So every Yidam, every Guru Yoga has the same process. So, yes, so in the meditation, in the end, then it's usually very short, really. It's just few minutes where we just try to remain in a very silent, state for us. It's about being in this very silent state, so to speak. Okay.
Khenpo, may I have another question regarding Chenrezig meditation?
Okay.
Because yesterday actually we had this conversation. When we are during the mantra phase, we are Chenrezig, and all beings are Chenrezig with a syllable Ri in our hearts.
Okay.
Is it correct, or should we, as here is, it was not so very clear for us. Should we be like Chenrezig and everyone are Chenrezig because this is the meditation we know from our center? Because here the explanation is a little bit different, in this sadhana.
It is correct because from what I remember in Tibetan version, it says that. Meaning, remember on the crown of all sentient beings, we visualize Chenrezig, and then how we become Chenrezig altogether actually. So it is true that we visualize, we imagine all sentient beings are now Chenrezig, but it's not a Dzogrim thing here. We're just trying to visualize the realm of Chenrezig. In the realm of Chenrezig, then everybody is seen and experienced as a Chenrezig, correct? So I think that part is true. It's to help one to have this sense of, accomplishment, I'm thinking. Because the aim of Chenrezig practice is to bring everyone to the realm of Chenrezig. So now here in the, at the mantra part, then we kind of, want to have this satisfactory, that is what is happening. Of course, everything's an imagination, right? But that is, so in my mind, in my thought, then, we'd want to feel, that is what is happening, that everyone is actually Chenrezig in this way. And then we just chant the Chenrezig mantra. Okay. All right, I think we'll now stop. Is it true? Is it right? We usually stop at 11, correct? Actually, okay. All right. Senam de tamche zeba nye to na nye pe dana pamche chega na je bala tu ba ye se ben so le ndo wa do wa re sho Gewan di ye kiwo kun senam ye she sozo. Senam ye she le chungwa tamba kunye to pare sho. Minjuro lombo kuye ta shi sho. Yen la ye tukcho sungge ta shi sho. Tadala time tukje ta shi sho. Gyalve kusong tukje ta shi sho. Changcho semcho rimbo che ma che pa nam che jiru che pa nyam pa me pa tang kong ne kong to pel wa re sho. Okay, thank you.